Woosah, dude. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Ew, I don't like how I said that. Anyways, hi guys. I hope that you all had a fantastic weekend. Welcome back to my channel. Like I literally just... Sorry. Okay, here's the thing. So for today's video, I took some notes, but I'm purely like relying on my memory on like kind of how to fill in the gaps of this story, just because I thought, hey, maybe if I just read a lot about these cases and whatever, I'll be able to like regurgitate the information, and I want to take as many notes, and I'll be able to like make videos quicker and not be so note focused. So now because of that, I feel thrown off, and like even in my intro, I feel really odd, like because I don't have a clear timeline that I'm like going off of. I don't know, it's very strange. Normally I have like a full page of notes to like read off of that I took myself, like if I was in school or something, and that's what I do. But for this one, it's definitely a less detailed case, I guess. Like it's not super complicated. I feel like it's very straightforward, but still not having notes or like a crazy amount of notes is just really insane for me, so that's really throwing me off. But the past few videos, I haven't really been doing a ton of true crime stuff, just because I sort of needed a break from it for a minute, because true crime does kind of start to wear on you, and this is going to sound very, very cold and callous, but I don't mean it that way at all. But sometimes all these cases start to just run together, and you kind of forget that you're actually talking about like people, and that these aren't just true crime stories. There's like a lot of people that are involved in them, and there's a lot of emotions involved. And for me, it's like I tell the information and that's kind of it. And it's not that I don't sympathize with the people in the cases, but I just feel like I read about it, I hear about true crime constantly, that it kind of takes a little bit of the emotion out for me. And I don't know, that might sound really cold, and I don't mean it that way. I want to give these stories the respect that they deserve, because there is families behind them, but sometimes just gets to be like another person murdered, another husband killed his wife, another wife poisoned her spouse, because that seems to be a trend. So it gets like, I feel very removed from it sometimes, so it's nice to do different types of videos and then get back into it just sort of with a fresh outlook. I hope that came off how I intended it to, but that being said, let's jump into it. So Timothy and Tracy Furter had adopted a little boy, and he is now 13 years old, but was being kept in an 8-by-8-foot windowless room in the family's garage that could only be accessed by the outside. They claim that he started to show signs of aggression. He would lie, he would steal, he would attack family members, according to them, and he was showing a lot of like really concerning behavior towards the family. He was diagnosed with ADHD, wasn't doing real hot in school, which if you have ADHD, school is very hard for you then, I agree. So the family thought, hey, to maybe keep this kid in check, let's build an 8-foot-by-8-foot windowless room in our garage and make it only accessible from the outside and put a lock on it. So that's exactly what they did. So this family, Tracy and Timothy, built this room in their garage, had a full construction like crew come in and build this room, and they would put, we'll call him Steve because I can't, he's a minor, so we're not going to say his real name. So they would then put Steve in this room for 10 to 15 hours a day. They would feed him leftovers. The family themselves didn't really, like, they didn't eat leftovers. They would just give them to Steve, and then he had a bucket to use as a bathroom. So if you totaled up the time that this boy spent in this room, it would have equated to, I believe, 3 or 4 solid years. So he was allowed to go to school, but then when he was at home, he was just put in this room for 10 to 15 hours a day, like on weekends and whatnot. Now, other people that knew the family were like, oh, I mean, they seemed like a normal family. Everything seemed fine. They all got along. There weren't any like red flags being thrown up, but behind closed doors, that definitely was not the case. It wasn't until January of 2022 when Steve ran away from home, and it wasn't until like a few days later that they found him outside of a middle school. And then in February, Tracy and Timothy were arrested. Now, one thing that they say that was like really difficult for them to deal with Steve was his reactive attachment disorder. So the disorder keeps children from forming bonds with family members, and it can lead to them acting out or making it difficult for the children to accept love. Now, that's what Tracy and Timothy claim that Steve had. Now, Steve's older sibling is actually a child psychiatrist, and they said that Steve was treated maliciously, cruelly, and psychologically damaging by Timothy and Tracy. So Timothy has already been tried, and he was in fact found guilty of false imprisonment and child neglect by a jury of 6 people. Now, he did get a plea offer from the state, but he rejected it, and now that plea would have sent him to prison for 2 years and then 5 years of probation, which would have been way better. But now, when he gets sentenced on November 16th, he could face up to 40 years in prison. He himself did not testify, but family, friends, and a child psychologist testified on his behalf, and they claim that his behavior was misguided, but it wasn't criminal. Now, here's the thing. We do have ring camera footage of Steve in this room. Like, the family put a Ring doorbell up on the ceiling so that they could keep track of him and like see what he was doing in this room. So there's hours and hours of footage that the jury watched, and they still came up with like, yeah, dude, sorry, but you are guilty. Now, the family, their defense did have videos of the family being like seemingly a normal family. I mean, but it's not hard to fake those kinds of videos or to take them a little out of context, or you know what I mean? Like, there's footage of this poor kid in an 8x8 room in your garage with no windows, just like left there. Now, the thing that really kills me though is like, hold up, you guys like had a construction crew come in, build this room, and then at the end of the day you still thought that it was a good idea? Like, you had time to think like, hey, this really isn't normal, maybe we should get the kids some therapy or try to do something to help them, but instead, no, let's just put them in a room for 10 to 15 hours a day and we'll just like call it good. How did you not think that that wasn't gonna mess this poor kid up in some way or make him want to run away? I would run away if I was treated like that. Screw that. So Tracy will be tried separately on abuse allegations. So we don't know what's happening with her yet, but when Timothy was found guilty, she was kind of mouthing words to him in the courtroom and whatnot, and was saying like, I love you and whatnot. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. I really hope this guy does get 40 years, honestly, and I hope she gets about the same, because this is absolutely disgusting behavior and no child deserves to be treated like this. So anyways, that is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. But that is it for Monday. But that is it for me today. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there, and I will be back with another video. Bye, guys.